is a therapist who has counseled women about happiness and fulfillment. Dr. Frieda Birnbaum's book, Life Begins at 60, gives women inspirational advice about being vital and happy while aging. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Meanwhile, like you said before, if you weren't vital before...
You know, what can we do? We can only fix so much.
So, 9 years ago, you became the first woman in America to give birth to twins at 60 years old. Meanwhile,
yes.
You already had 3 children before that, 2 grown and 1 that was 7 or 8. Am I right?
Yes.
Why did you want to do that?
Well, there really was practical reasons, but before I tell you that, I'll tell you something that sounds funny but true. And get ready. The Donald, as he was known at the time, I was going on a cruise with my husband, and we were in a ship, and this huge wave went over the ship. And I said, look at this wave, it's just what's going on. And they said, this is not Disneyland. And I looked around the whole ship, the huge room, and everyone was emptying out, and dishes were falling. So I ended up staying in my room, my cabin, for 3 days, and I saw an article. It said, older women, in vitro, cheap. Sounded good to me. So I tucked it away, and I took it home and showed my husband. And from there on, we went into this venture of having another child. But that's not the reason we did it. The real reason why I had another child was I already had this 7-year-old at the time, 6-year-old, and I wanted him to have a companion. So adopting was very difficult, and I felt that there would be less complications. So we thought we'd give it a try, and we went ahead, and we went on a vacation to Africa, and I went on cable cars and helicopter rides and safaris.
Romantic. I'm ready to have a baby.
Yeah, great time. But one thing I left out, I also had in vitro. So when I got back from this trip, the operator said, guess what, you're pregnant. And then I was pregnant through one time, and the rest is history, as they say. But I was very, very lucky. My pregnancy was very uneventful, but I also had events with the different doctors that I went to. So that was my experience. That was unusual, not the pregnancy itself.
So how is this possible? Because we hear so many times you get into your late 30s and now you're in a high-risk area, and you're 60 and this happens.
Well, you know, first of all, there's such thing as freezing eggs, and women, and I had a child at the age of 53, and women often don't go into menopause as late as 55, some at 40. It really does depend. So I can't really give this message to other women.
Sure.
I can just tell other women that there are many, many options out there. You can have frozen eggs, you can have a donor egg. They even have something now with the nucleus of the egg is the mother, the biological mother, the frozen, round, I'm sorry, I'm losing my words, you know. Electrons. Electrons, thank you very much. See, I need her next to me here, it helps. So with that, you know, you can have biologically your own egg. It's very new, it's out there, and you can look that up. So there are many different possibilities for women to have, to be fertile longer. But my real message here is about women and age, that fertility, your age does not define you. What really defines you is letting go and accepting who you are. We're again living in a women's revolution right now with the marching and what's going on. And age is our last frontier in this revolution. Women are coming out of the closet, basically, and feeling comfortable. So if we all represent ourselves appropriately, age will have a different meaning because we're living longer, younger. And that's the real message.
But you're ahead of the curve here. There are a lot of women that still don't believe what you're saying, that still don't fall into that group. As a matter of fact, when we told people we were going to have you on the show, we put it on our Facebook page, and there was an enormous amount of good and bad. And I was sort of surprised at how some people just felt that they wanted to attack you for your own personal choice. This is your personal choice. I mean, we actually have, if you don't mind, I'm going to read this to you.
Absolutely.
Okay, we have a Facebook viewer who said, Tony Brightman is her name, she's from Waterbury, Connecticut, and she said, this is the most selfish thing you can do.
I love that answer, and I'm ready to tell my story. And I have to tell you what selfish means today. Selfish today has been defined when women are out there having careers and having families, and men do the same. These women are often seen as selfish, by the way, where men are seen as family men. It's really very, extremely very biased what selfish is. When I was going ahead and I was an advocate for women to have equality in the relationship, that was called selfish. When I was an advocate for women to have careers and family and relationship, that was called selfish, because at that time you either had a family or you had a career. Even Gloria Steinem says she's sorry she didn't do both. So there's nobody really ahead of me to tell me what I felt was right for me, so I had to do my own thing. So I always had a stigma, and selfish is not an unknown word for me. And here we go again. And maybe 10, 20 years from now, they'll say, hey, she wasn't so selfish and she wasn't so crazy. Maybe there's something to this, what this lady is saying.
And it's your own life, your own choices.
You know,
it's beautiful.
I think so. That makes some sense, too.
Kim Robertson from Cincinnati, Ohio, wrote in on our Facebook page. Thank you so much, Kim, for writing in. She says, I think it's wonderful, but the caveat here is, she says, wasn't she afraid of the child having, or the children having birth defects?
Yeah. Because that's what the doctors tell you, too.
That's what the doctors tell you. And, you know, women in their 30s and their 40s are having difficulty, some even getting pregnant. So it's all very, very dependent on who you are, what your genetic makeup is. And we're living in a time where women are more fit than ever. They're able to be pregnant later in life as well. So that makes a huge difference. So our age has to be redefined. I was quoted in Times as saying that ageism needs to be redefined in every stage of our life. And when we're talking about when you're saying middle age, it sounds like a decline. We need to reassess our words. It's peak age. Grandma has changed. Not to someone in the rocking chair, but somebody who's actually going exercising and on trips. And the most important part, and then I'll let you ask the next question, is
no, this is fascinating. Keep talking.
You know, women have to speak. What can I tell you? We have a lot to say.
And listen, everybody's hanging on your every word.
Yes,
you know, they don't normally keep their mouth that quiet.
The most important part, and you know, retirement is something that's really a second career nowadays, where you actually are who you really are. You know what you want. You can fulfill your passions. So life is a dress rehearsal. We have to look at ourselves and see, guess what? You're not getting older. You're really in a place where you can finally define yourself, make your own decisions and say, who cares what anybody else says, because they've been wrong all along.
Well, we're gonna
continue this conversation later.
We're gonna find out, because everybody, especially in this town, wants to stay younger longer, and you're saying,
wow,
yeah, let's look at age, let's redefine it for us as we are in our 50s and 60s and 70s and so forth.
Yes.
And we're gonna continue this conversation at the end, and you're in on it too, so don't worry, Ben.
I just wanted to say, Jess and I talked about it, and by the time she's 60, I'll be ready to be a father. So.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
And you know, and it's possible. Dr. Frieda's book, Life Begins at 60, is in stores
We're
now.
Not done
Thank
with
you
Frieda,
so
though.
much.
Meanwhile, when we come back, Paige and Shirley.
Right.
That's right.